Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a beautiful Monday evening. Look, we are already 2 hours in, okay? 2 hours into content tonight, and that was a world record. That was a Film Guy Network record in terms of film study. Got almost 2 hours of film study in today, an hour and 50 minutes full. So welcome in. If you watched all 2 hours, kudos to you. Let's go ahead and give a golf clap for those that watched the full 2 hours like we did here in the studio. Glad to have you guys in. We have a loaded slate for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about a little bit of rankings reactions from yesterday. The boys are in with us. I know Jay Will was with us yesterday. We got our guy Kirby in tonight, so we'll finish up the discussions on that. Kirby dared to maybe challenge me in terms of a discussion tonight. So we'll see how we stand up. If you could finish those almonds in your mouth by the time you get ready to talk at some point tonight, too.
Don't worry.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Multitasking, all that good stuff. But anyways, we do have our final thoughts on that football game. Our rankings reactions. Heisman finalists came in today. And, of course, a lot of people worried about transfer portal news. We have that for you guys today on the show as well. But before we get into too far into tonight's show, only an hour tonight. Only this one. We had the 2 hours of film. We're going to do the 1 hour tonight. We'll be back for our standard 2 hours of live content tomorrow night, most likely, here on the channel. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate, review. And if at any point tonight you miss any portion of tonight's show, it will be made available tonight on podcast. However, wherever you catch your podcast, you can find us. Just search the Film Guy Network. Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you use promo code Brooks today, you'll get a 100% deposit match over there with those guys. Okay, that's promo code Brooks, 100% deposit match over there on Prize Picks. What does that mean? You put up to $100, you will get instantly matched in your account with $100 from those guys and our friends over there using promo code Brooks. Also, a quick shout out to our friends at the Athletic Collection. All the posters you see around the studio today, you can and find and will be able to purchase over there at the Athletic Collection. No promo code needed. Just head over there. The link is in the description to all of our videos. And that is an NIL play. So whatever portion of revenues or whatever you purchase over there, a portion of those revenues will go directly into the players' pockets. So, yeah, it is that time of the season, boys, where we got some Georgia fans licking their wounds. Okay, so I expect to see some kind of number deterioration here, but you will not see an effort deterioration from us. Welcome in. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. You know, outside of what happened this weekend, semester's wrapping up, and still got tons of bowl games to watch, man. College football season still got a month left of it.
This is the worst week of the year to be a college student.
You've got finals?
You've got finals.
Yeah.
There's no football except the Army-Navy game. There's really not a lot to look forward to. It's just a grind, dude. And you're so close to Christmas at this point. You're just like, just let me get through this week, man.
All right.
But I'm great.
Yeah, good. Before we get into the final thoughts, just right off the bat, look, I got some dude on TikTok with hair, just a reporter I've never heard of. He runs social for Barstool. Apparently went on social media and claimed that Michael Williams is set to hit the portal. He said it like it was fact. This dude reports this on TikTok, and now everybody's going nuts that Michael Williams is supposed to be hitting the portal. I ain't heard none of this. Ain't thought of none of this. Reached around and called around, talked to people, reached out to people today. No. Not anything I've heard about, all right? Strictly rumors, strictly nonsensical rumors, nothing warranted there. That being said, I promise you right now, if you are a starting football player at a Power 5 school, period, point blank, hard stop, you are getting phone calls and you are attempting to get it poached by football teams that need help. You know who one of those is? USC. So does USC have the assets to call a football player that they had the assets to swindle into a commitment originally out of high school? Probably. Does that mean you should be going to Twitter and freaking the hell out right now? No. And that damn sure shouldn't mean you should be going to Twitter right now and doing any type of blaspheming towards the name of Michael Williams. You're a terrible person. Any thoughts, boys?
Look, it's just that time of the year, it's kind of gotten into this routine of the college football season where once conference championship games wrap up, transfer portal news starts to happen. I mean, heck, it even happens before conference championship games. And the best thing you can do is you can just sit around and wait until it officially happens. Other than that, you're just going to drive yourself crazy because you're never going to know what's actually going to happen until it is officially announced.
We have a hard rule. Like, we do not do any of the speculatory stuff. We don't do these are the names we think are going to go. This is what we think might happen. No, we prepare ourselves in our back channels and say, we talk and say, this is what we need to be prepared for. This is what we think might happen. These are the names that we've kind of been led to believe might. And here's the reason why I never believe you should be going to your message boards. You should be going to your YouTube channel. You should be going anywhere and doing we think so-and-so might hit the portal before so-and-so does hit the portal. Because these are active negotiations nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. How this works. Player X gets contacted by school Y, all right? While he's at his current school. School Y says, hey, baby, we can promise you all this, dog. We're going to get it to you. We're going to make sure it happens. Player X goes into coach's office and says, Coach, this is what's happening. This is what's happening right now. And then we are in this active negotiation process. So this is a prime example. This happened to Amarius Mims, right? Amarius Mims went in, came back out. But you know how many times Amarius Mims or guys like Broderick Jones or really, really good football players at the University of Georgia who weren't getting immediate run or weren't getting starting playing time, you know how many times those guys get attempted to be poached? If we did this every single time, if we did the speculative journalism, you'd lose your mind like you are right now. Everybody's losing their mind. Is this player going to go? Is Marvin Jones going to go? Is Markel Williams going to go? Ooh, what's going to happen here? Calm down. Calm down, take a breath. I don't like you said, I don't think there's any reason to be out here losing your mental health or losing your sanctity over what a 20-year-old may or may not do. Okay, just hang on. All right, that's all I got to say about that.
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there. Plus, Georgia, for the most part, has done a pretty good job of retaining their roster and keeping their core value players. Now, of course, still, some things are going to happen. Players are going to leave and go. That's just the nature of college football now. But for the most part, you really don't have to worry about too much happening for Georgia.
Yeah, you're one day down. I mean, it's 9 o'clock. Something else could happen right now. But it's been Darius Smith. It's been our guy Jonathan Jefferson. It's been Jackson Meeks, and it's been Austin Blaschke.
And C.J. Madden.
All 5 names that, A, were not in contention for immediate playing time, and B, I mean, they're going to have to go somewhere else to play, right? That's kind of the obvious signs right there for a lot of those people. I mean, maybe Jackson Meeks, depending on what happens with the draft-eligible wide receivers, is a football player in that list that you might have been depending upon next year. Austin Blaschke, maybe. But even him this year, right? As soon as Xavier Truss went down, not only was Xavier Truss the 3rd tackle, you would think Austin Blaschke might be the 4th. No, they went to Monroe Freely, making Austin Blaschke the 5th tackle. Okay, so hold on to your horses. I don't think it's necessarily time to panic. Oh, obviously Brock Vandagriff as well. So that was a name that I don't think a lot of people expected him to hit the portal if Carson Beck decided to come back to the University of Georgia. We don't have an official word on that, but this seems like good inclination that that's probably going to happen, right?
Yeah, I feel like Brock doesn't make this decision without having at least some idea of what Carson Beck's going to do, and that kind of leans towards the fact that Carson Beck's going to be coming back next year.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Just seems pretty obvious in my opinion.
And we haven't gotten official word on that, but the official word that I'm getting now is this hard and fast new rule that NFL evaluators are going on. And it's this 25 starts theory. Okay, this idea that you need 25 starts in college to be deemed, your chances of reaching your second contract drastically increase once you hit that 25 start mark. And that's something that he will reach next year, presuming he obviously plays in the bowl game this year, that being Carson Beck. So basically the news today obviously points into the direction of Carson Beck returning. The immediate reactions, the immediate thought process, and then the spin would be where might Brock Vandagriff land. A lot of rumors and innuendo that he's going to end up at Kentucky, which is fine. I always thought he should go to Auburn.
Yeah,
I always thought he would look perfect in Hugh Freeze's system. That would have been the decision that if I was Agent Brooks, if we were putting the hat on or if we were putting the suit on and we were getting nice and slimy, okay, even more hair gel in the hair, we'd be going to Auburn. and we'd be on the plains really, really quickly and beating out whatever they think is their quarterback right now.
I kind of said that maybe FSU could have been a player. I kind of like the idea of Brock Vandagriff being in the FSU offense, and that's a program that's on the up and coming, could probably have some success there. I know they lose
Very
some
Jordan
guys.
Travis-y.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of floated that. That's my own idea. At least that's what I kind of thought of when he hit the portal.
Yeah, I think Auburn is the right destination. I saw somewhere on Twitter today people were saying Georgia Southern. Like
that was months ago.
Yeah,
People. This is what I'm saying. This is one of those things. This is why we don't do the speculative, okay? Because I think like in August or in February, people were talking about the Georgia Southern stuff, and I thought that was absolutely out of this world. So yeah. I think if I were Carson, or if I were Brock Vandagriff's agent, I'd be saying, hey, you look a whole lot like Malik Willis in that system if you go play in that system. And that, I mean, you would be supreme Malik Willis. You'd be 6'3", 225, throwing the ball 85 yards, okay, and in the air and taking off running whenever green grass was made available. So that covers us from the transfer portal end from the Georgia side. I don't think it's done. Okay, I don't know how many more names you're going to see, but I definitely don't think you're quite done in terms of with regards to activity. Do we have any other Georgia-related transfer portal topics that we need to talk about or hit on?
I mean, you could talk about guys in the national scene that Georgia might try to dip their toe in and getting.
Which is where we were going to head into next with regards to the national names that entered the portal today. Some guys that Georgia used to recruit, like Evan Stewart, Walter Nolan, and football players like that. And we don't know what's going to happen with Shamar Stewart. I mentioned today on Twitter, if Shamar Stewart enters the portal, that is the most intriguing football player available, by far, hands down. I thought he was the best front four defensive player I evaluated all year. So if that guy hits the portal, I'd be heavily active in that one. But it's the wide receiver, London Humphreys from Vanderbilt, that immediately – Kirby started talking about all these guys like as soon as they come to me and tell me that they're hitting the portal, they almost always know exactly where they're going to go. Very similar to what Brock Vandagriff happened today. We hear he's hitting the portal. We hear he's probably going to Kentucky. As soon as London Humphreys hit the portal, it was like, oh, Georgia. Georgia, So 6'3", 195 pounds, former 3-star recruit, and took one the distance against Georgia this year. So how about that?
Yeah. Kirby loves these 3 stars and just developing them into absolute dogs.
The Discord fell for it. They were like, ooh, a potential Ladd McConkey replacement. Ladies and gentlemen, my man's is 6'3". Yeah, my man's is 6'3".
That's an A.D. Mitchell replacement.
Yeah, he was a freshman All-American. This is outside the numbers receiver. This is a traitsy football player at 6'3". AJ Will?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a big-time guy that definitely doesn't strike – like, he can't do the thing of what we were talking about last week.
Oh, no, but it'll happen. It happened very quickly. It happened like that as soon as it happened in the chat.
And especially doesn't help that I think the touchdown that he did score against Georgia was him in the slot and typically in a spot that Ladd McConkey would probably be in. But, no, this is a guy that you're going to be putting on the outside and provides a different type of skill set, but still the speed necessary to compete at the SEC level. But a good player, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone that I think Georgia should pursue. It looks like, based on what he did against you, that he can play good SEC ball. So
yeah, and over 400 yards receiving as a true freshman this year. Will have 3 years of eligibility remaining. So
400 yards receiving on a Vanderbilt team is very impressive. That's 800 yards.
And he was he was the third target too. Because this is Will Shepherd. They had a slot receiver that they really liked as well. Yeah. This guy got burned as a true freshman. And had an ability to really, really get after it and be explosive after the catch as well, which is something that Georgia will need, you would imagine, moving forward. So I don't know who else is in play for him, but like I said, these things seem to be relatively wrapped up. Now, a lot of people will say, why didn't they go after the Will Shepherd guy? Why are they going after – first of all, 3 years of eligibility, main thing. The other thing, I think Will Shepherd going to be real expensive. Yeah. I think Will Shepherd's like one of the better wide receivers that's going to be available in the portal this year.
Do you think that's what keeps them out of the Julian Fleming sweepstakes?
Yeah, dude. I think the Evan Stewart stuff, the Julian Fleming stuff, I think that's all a little bit outside of your price range at the University of Georgia. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, you allocate funds a little bit different than some of these. Like Tennessee strikes me as one of these programs that's going to go out and get one of these big time wide receivers.
Tennessee would be a landing spot. I could see Julian Fleming going to.
So I think those kind of things are to be on the lookout for. in terms of continued efforts. I think you're going to get in. You're going to be more active at the University of Georgia this year in the portal than you ever have been, because I don't know if you're going to have as many guys depart as we might have thought of. I thought you were going to have a couple offensive linemen dip out. Sounds like, per my sourcing, it sounds like you're going to be pretty tight there. It sounds like you're going to be okay there. And I thought there were some other positions that might have some guys enter, but I was waiting on a DB to enter today that didn't enter. I was shocked. I was shocked to see that name not pop up. So, like I said, we're not doing the speculative stuff because who knows? I mean, there's been multiple guys, multiple years. Like, for example, I thought Jonathan Jefferson should hit the portal last year. Yeah. Like it was a name we were circling, like, ooh, might be one of those ones. No, stuck around, hung it out.
I mean, people did it with every single year with Darnell Washington. Every single year of his career is like, oh, this is the year that he's going to leave us. He's going to go to the portal and everything.
To be fair, Darnell Washington might have been getting one of them bumps in raise and bumps in pay doing so. Okay, I think that's a lot of things. It's a lot of that gets like we don't talk about, we don't tread on, but it's the reality of the situation. Bro, every time a college coach calls you and asks you or puts money in front of you or says it's in front of you, you have a due diligence to yourself and your family to take that to your current head coach and say, School X called me and said this, because you might just get an increase in pay. And that's just the cold, hard reality of fact, okay? You, Jimmy, listen to this today. If a new employer called you and said, hey, we want to hire you, baby, and not only that, what are you getting paid over there? Well, we're going to give you a slight bump in pay. Jimmy, listen to this right now. I know you're going to go to your boss and you're going to say, boss man, hey, you ain't going to believe this, but the company across town wants to give me a 5% bump. Can I get 6 from you? Or can you at least match the 5? And Jimmy going to probably get the pay raise. So I think a lot of this happens to do with a little bit of, what do you call it? Negotiation, boys, out here in these NIL waters.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Like you said, I mean, that does due diligence for yourself and your family. So it's just playing the game how it is now. So nothing you can worry about or anything. That's just kind of what we're at, and that's okay. I mean, find a way to adapt.
All right, there's some other big names. While we're on the portal, let's hammer this out because I got some people asking about your prediction from the Bama game, all kinds of good stuff that we still got to hit on tonight. Give me the rest of these names because there's some big names that hit today.
Yeah, some big quarterback names. You got Kyle McCord and Dylan Gabriel. You want to go over that real quick?
I'm not very interested in the Kyle McCord stuff. Which way do you think this went? Do you think this went Ryan Day asking him to leave? Do you think this was Kyle McCord being tired of being a scapegoat? What do you think this is?
I think it's honestly a little bit of both. I think Ryan Day probably said, hey, look, we're probably going to get someone in the portal who might be, better suited for what we want to do. You're more than welcome to stay, but after the way you got treated this year, I wouldn't blame you if you want to leave. And Kyle McCord said,
I think it was, hey, we just put together $2.5 million for Dylan Gabriel. That's what I think it was. I don't know if that's the name. I know they've been talking about Cam Ward and other stuff going on up there at Ohio State.
What about a guy like Dante Moore?
No, I think that's a Michigan State thing. That dude's going back to Michigan. I'm telling everybody in the chat that right now. Dante Moore going back to Michigan. All right, I hope he got whatever he could get out of UCLA's NIL collective and got what they were promised. So now he can go back home because that's a Detroit kid. Yeah, I was shocked he left Detroit in the first place, or the state of Michigan in the first place.
Tyler Van Dyke, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, going back to the McCord thing too, like Ryan Day can also say, we just put together this package for X quarterback in the transfer portal. We think you should go into the portal and get yourself a package as well. So like you can also say, go get your money as well, Yeah.
The Kyle mid-cord package out here looking like? What's that looking like?
Hey, if mid-major players are getting some bags, I mean, Kyle McCord can get himself something.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle McCord was an industry 5-star.
Yeah.
I never saw it. I mean, I shouldn't tell that story. We didn't rank him so high at SI All-American, and let's just say that didn't go over so smoothly.
Okay,
let's just leave it at that.
What were the other names?
You've also
what were the other names? I think Dylan Gabriel at Ohio State would be electric. That's just me.
Yeah.
I think that guy's ability to process, get the ball out quickly is something that's elite. And his legs were a lot more elusive than I thought.
Him entering the portal just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It looked to me like a combination of he got poached, someone offered him a shitload of money. Like, dude, if you're Dylan Gabriel and someone offered you $2 million, that might be the most money you make in a single year ever playing football.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what your NFL future looks like. but you're a damn good college quarterback. I think KJ Jefferson ran into this as well. If you're telling me I can get almost $1 million, $1.5 million, like right now, dude, I got to do that for my family. I don't care if I'm the returning starter. Also, if you're Oklahoma, it's kind of one of those, we needed to get into this Jackson Arnold mix anyways, because it's either Dylan Gabriel leaves us for $2 million elsewhere, or someone comes and poaches Jackson Arnold, because these starting quarterbacks, man, they're getting poached left and right.
Yeah, and I think that's a benefit of kind of what we envisioned NIL to be, of like players that maybe aren't going to make it to the NFL, they can make money in college and they can make sufficient funds for themselves. It just kind of sucks that it comes at the cost of, this player that was really good for you and helped kind of elevate your program a little bit, he's going to leave you next year to go somewhere else because of it.
Yeah, you really better get used to rooting for the G or rooting for the Crimson or whatever your favorite team is. You better get used to harboring feelings for that, not the person inside the jersey, because the person inside the jersey might dip out on your ass pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again, even with teams that win a lot. Like, even starters do that. A.D. Mitchell's done that. Jermaine Burton's done that. That's just Georgia alone. I mean, so
Bear Alexander did that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of guys that are starters that would go. So it doesn't surprise me to see this.
All right, hey, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. And I see it creeping up. We're getting there. We're getting there. It'll be all right.
There's two more names that we can talk about. Tyler Van Dyke is a sneaky name that I think might.
Tyler Van Dyke's like 37. He's already bald. Why is he still playing college football? Why are we doing this?
Because it's allowed.
Are we going to continue to do this? This is the last year we're doing this, where all these guys are like 28. When do these super seniors run out? You would imagine 2026.
So freshmen,
2026.
Yeah. And then there's one more name.
Assuming you took a regular red shirt.
Yeah.
At some point.
Then there's one more name that I think is the most interesting entry. Tyler Buckner entered the transfer portal today.
And this is fun because Tyler Buckner, former Notre Dame quarterback, transferred to Alabama to follow Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, and now has re-entered the portal under the classification as a lacrosse player, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So he's a lax bro.
He is a lax bro.
And he's going back to Notre Dame to lax it down?
That's what the rumors are, is that he's just going to go play some lacrosse at Notre Dame.
Hey, shaka bra. I mean, it is what it is. You think he's a midi? You think he's a long pole? What do you think he is?
I know nothing.
You think he's
about
a sharpshooter?
I was about to say, I don't even know what any of those words mean.
I know nothing about lacrosse.
You don't even know what you don't know what a long pole is? A long pole is the guy in the back with the long pole that plays defense.
Isn't that the goalie?
No, he got a big net. He don't have a long pole. He got a big net. See, y'all got to mess around with that lax. Okay, I only scouted lax bros because they practice before and after us. Before us during the spring, after us during the fall. So yeah, they'd be out there getting their lax on. But yeah, I guess Tyler Buckner, hell of a lax player. Sure as shit can't throw a football very well.
He'll make a hell of a Patriot one day.
Nah, dog. Here's the wild thing about Tyler Buckner. If I pulled up his junior tape right now, you would shit yourself. You would be like, what happened to that kid? Because the motion looked totally different. Everything about him looked totally different. So much so, another guy that we talked about tonight that already hit the portal in a very different light, he and Brock Vandegrift were in the same high school class. And I'll never forget, we had a Notre Dame writer call me and was like, hey, let's do it. This will be fun. They're ranked number 1 and number 2 right now on 24/7 Sports. Let's do a compare and contrast. You watch his tape, I'll watch his tape, and we'll trade and flip-flop. And I'll never forget watching Brock Vandegrift's tape and be like, yeah, nah, dog, he's a 5-star. And then I watched the Buckner tape and I was like, I was this close to doing the Buckner better than Vandegrift thing, like legitimately off the high school junior tape. And then he just completely fell apart. We saw him at the Elite 11, and it was just chunky, and the delivery was all jacked up, and I don't know what happened, but so most of the times you like to blame injury on this. Mm-hmm. Maybe he had a bad shoulder thing that just didn't come clean. But, man, it's so crazy how one little thing or how the different, track some of these quarterbacks take, man. Because all of them are immensely talented at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Too much lax playing, man. That's what it is.
It was kind of laxy.
Yeah.
Laxy-daisical?
Hey. Boo.
Yeah, I'm not adding to that.
What do you got? Nothing?
About what?
About these portal guys. Anything else? Anything that intrigues you?
I do think it's going to be interesting to see where all these guys end up, because there are a lot of teams that I think could benefit from a quarterback position. I mean, you can always benefit from an increase in quarterback, but I feel like there's a lot of teams that think they're just one really good guy away. So who's going to be kind of the guy that once they find their team's like, oh, they're a national title contender with this guy at the helm?
Whoever Oregon and Washington get, I think that's the funny thing about these two Pac-12 teams. They're both in major play.
It looks like Washington's going to get Will Rogers.
Oh yeah, I saw that as a crystal ball this morning.
Yeah,
that's
interesting to me.
I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know if I like that.
Aaron
Are
Murray's
they going to
jumping up and
retain their
down.
offensive coordinator as well?
I don't know.
Because you would imagine that guy's up for jobs, right?
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Because it's been two years in a row.
But what jobs are open?
That's a great point. Maybe we get some
The
firings after bowl season.
The season is
Maybe.
young. Don't worry.
Yeah, the college football coaching firing season is very, very, very much so young. All right, I know we did 2 hours of film study on it, and we're already 30 minutes into tonight's show, basically talking mostly about the portal. But I want your final thoughts on this Georgia-Alabama football game from Saturday. I said it during the film study. I thought there was one major key adjustment, one critical adjustment. Alabama switching out of their bare front, their 50 down or their 50 base front defense, and playing a 4-down, 2-man under defense, and basically living in it the full football game. And then obviously the critical mistake. I thought those were the two major differences in this football game. On top of the fact that I plain and simple, I think Alabama out executed you for the better part of 4 quarters. I got it right here. Physicality. Who do we give it to?
Alabama.
Adjustments. Who do we give it to?
Alabama.
Execution. Who do we give it to? Mistakes. Who do we give it to?
Alabama.
What are you saying? Who made less or who made
Yeah,
more?
like who won the mistakes battle?
Bama.
Bama. All right, so they clean swept you in 4 areas. You would say they won the special teams battle as well because you missed the field goal. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was at least a push because you got a big play on a punt return.
Yeah, you had a punt return that set you up for a
Either
touchdown.
way, what I'm trying to get to you is they were more physical than you. They made more adjustments than you. They executed better than you, and they had fewer mistakes than you. And they only beat you by 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on top of that, I know the 4th and 4 hurts. I know that 4th and 4 hurts. The only thing that it would, if I were a Georgia fan, the only thing that would console or make me feel a little bit better about it, and I wouldn't feel better about it, is the fact that we can blame ourselves a little bit because we let up a 17-yard or a 16-yard completion on 3rd and 20.
Yep.
That's the only thing that I could look at and say, well, if we don't do that, maybe that doesn't happen or whatever. If we do the what ifs all day long, but I thought those were the keynote differences in this football game.
Yeah, I think it really just boils down to the fact that Alabama played their best game of the season and you simply did not. And it is frustrating because you know that you are capable of playing a better football game, but yet even though you had a mistake and you missed a field goal that would have tied the game late in the quarter and ended up biting you in the butt, you still only lost by 3 points, and so you just know that, we were that close. But, yeah, I think it just really comes to the point of Alabama played their best. I mean, and Nick Saban does this time and time again in Atlanta, and that's kind of why I got leading up to the game. I was like, people kept asking me about stats. I was like, look, this is a stat, but Nick Saban continues to defy the odds and the numbers every single time he comes to Atlanta. Like, he plays a near-perfect game when everything says that they nearly shouldn't. I mean, Georgia had their most penalized game all season in Atlanta, something that we didn't see coming.
And they look discombobulated.
Yeah.
They look discombobulated at times on the offensive side of the football. Now, I know they had a lot of moving parts in there, but I thought Alabama was very, very quick to make adjustments. They did not hesitate. They said, ooh, this is it. And their players made adjustments as well. Jalen Milroe holding the football a long time in the first half. The second half, we start seeing him dinking and dunking the ball up underneath as they're driving the zones out. So, like, I saw the football coaches making adjustments. I saw football players making adjustments. On top of that, they won the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. So, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I hate making excuses for losses, and because I feel like there's always an avenue to win that game despite what happened externally. You can blame the refs. You can blame Mike Bobo's play calling. You can blame injuries. You can blame me because I picked Alabama to win on Thursday. But the reality of it is this. There were 2 plays in this game, a fumble on an exchange inside your own 20 and a false start that led to a missed field goal. Those were a 6-point difference in a game you lost by 3.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you beat yourself in this game. All the external factors you could have overcame, but at the end of the day, you didn't. So it stings to lose like this, but to know there is some solace in that. To play as bad as you did and to see how well Bama did, like you said, more aggressive, all the physicality, and only lose that game by 3 points, that's got to give you some feeling.
It was ironic the 4th and 4 play was sandwiched in between a 3rd and 20 completion and Dalen Everett giving up inside leverage for a touchdown to Jermaine Burton.
Yep.
I thought that was the epitome of, yeah, you didn't get breaks. You did not get breaks in this football game. You also didn't execute.
Nope.
You also did not play to the caliber that you were supposed to. Now, as far as the coaching questions and comments and concerns, we all knew it. We all knew what was going to happen. The moment Georgia didn't score 35 points and lost the football game, Mike Bobo's head was going to be on the chopping block for every Georgia fan on the planet that wanted to look for something to blame. It's hard. I said it on Sunday's show, and even after watching the film study, man, it's hard for me to sit here and question what a dude's doing schematically if I don't know what his actual availability of his best players are, right? Like, if I go back and show you the usage of Brock Bowers, I can tell you right now, based off how they did it, he was very obviously hurt. They knew that, all right? Even the plays to Ladd, even the certain routes that they ran for him and for Brock, they only made them and asked them to cut off of 1 foot. All right, if you see all of Brock's stuff, he's cutting off of his right foot because his left foot is injured. And it's vice versa, I believe, for Ladd McConkey, if my memory serves me correctly. So even the way that they were using football players, I thought was obvious that it was, impacted by injuries. The only thing I have for you, and it makes sense to me, y'all just didn't change up the game plan fast enough with regards to your inside run game. Y'all bailed on inside run game. Y'all basically said, we're going to be a truck sweep team today. We're going to attack edges today. And I get that. I do. But here's what really made me, like, a red alert went off in my head. When I hear Nick Saban say that he came into a football game telling his defensive coordinators, we got to play 50 because we can't stop them in the run game. And then I watch you, as an offensive coordinator, design a run game off the idea that you can't block them on the interior of the offensive line. That means they evaluated their football team way different than you evaluated their football team. All right? And to his credit and to my detriment, I evaluated Alabama the same way. I looked at him and said, ain't no way you're going to reset that line of scrimmage. They're way too big. They're way too big. But they thought they were going to be susceptible to the run. That's why they put 7 guys in the box to start the football game.
Yep.
And then you immediately see them change the game plan, and it was stagnant from that moment on. That was wild to me that the best football coach we've seen of all time looked at their football team completely different on the interior of their defensive line than your offensive coordinator. Your head coach did as well. That was a little bit – not concerning. It was alarming to me. It's like, oh, wow, they saw this football game totally differently.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, going back to that, it goes back to the execution thing as well, too, because you did call plays that hit. You did have a truck sweep one play. I think it was a 3rd and 3. That play hits if your tight end can seal the edge on the corner coming down.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, you end up punting. So it's just little things like that. It's a combination of, yes, Alabama made the correct adjustments when they needed to, but you also didn't do yourself any favors.
And, dude, we showed it in the 2 hours of film. There were multiple times where Bobo had beaters called, where it's like, all right, where they're playing man coverage, split safety. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to motion to 3-by-1, all right, meaning we're going to take the 2 safeties. Now we're going to put 1 in the middle of the field because we've motioned to 3-by-1. They can't play 2 in the middle, all right? And then we're going to run a play action, and we're going to try to slip the tight end right down the middle of the field. It's a play that is hit for them over and over again this year. It's a play that's hit for everybody this year, the tight end slip-off play action against man coverage. Well, guess who covered it perfectly? Alabama. Alabama's linebacker pulled up on the play action, said, oh, shit, immediately turned around, found Oscar Delp, got in his hip pocket. So do you discredit the coordinator because his play didn't work, or do you say, damn, they got us on that one? Oh, well, then you just try to go to the next one. They tried to go to a Fox little slip screen later on in the football game. Guess what? Malachi Moore covered it perfectly. So, like, man, sometimes when I watch film, I'm sitting there going, okay, I think you could have done a better job forcing them into zone coverage, Mike Bobo. I think you could have done some stuff, all right? I said during film study, I would have been redlining every single formation and package that dictated that they got into zone coverage. And we would have stayed in that the rest of the football game. It's one of the things that I thought Monken was tremendous at. I thought Todd Monken, during his 3 years at the University of Georgia, if he didn't want you to play man coverage, by God, you were not playing man coverage. He would force you into ways. How? He would bunch a bunch. He would get a whole bunch of formations into bunch and stacks, and you can't play man off of that. And you can't play man against that. I don't know if y'all did enough of a good enough job of trying to force those types of things. But outside of that, man, like, you were a banged up football team, and it looked like you were a banged up football team from a weapons perspective. In the run game, I've already explained. That defensive line showed up and put a hat on a hat. That was pretty obvious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been seeing the thing of, like, I think people felt like Bobo maybe cut off Carson Beck maybe a little too early in that football game, kind of reeled him back. And you and I talked a little bit about this on Sunday. But, I kind of thought the obvious. I thought he did try ways to get Carson Beck more comfortable. Like, I know there was a point in the football game where he throws it 3 straight times, you go 3 and out. The next series, you run it 3 straight times, you go 3 and out. But like the very next series, I think it was 13 plays, you threw over 8 times, you drive it down the field, and you miss a field goal. I mean, and that just happens sometimes. It puts you in a tough situation. And then it was the very next one out of the coming out of the half. You pass it out of 6 plays 3 times, and then on 3rd and 1, you can't run the ball, and then you have to punt again. So, like, he tried ways, I think, to get Beck some easy touches and get his confidence back. It just took a little bit longer than what maybe people wanted.
I would have found it hard to be aggressive with him putting the ball at risk like he was. Mm-hmm. He threw almost like 3 or 4 interceptions, like
early in the game,
very early. Yeah. Two of them in the first half for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, there's this idea that Bobo took the ball out of Beck's hands. He threw the ball 29 times.
Yeah,
it's not like, I mean, that's right around his average of what he's been doing all season.
And he only got 10 possessions total. In this
it's not like he had 15 attempts. But Carson Beck was a factor in this game. Mm-hmm. Did he just say, all right, just sling it, do whatever you can? No, that wasn't ever going to be the game plan. That shouldn't have been the game plan.
Watch that nose whistle, cuz. Oh. No, you're good. I can hear it from over here. It's all good. It's all good.
Self-conscious, bro.
No, don't be. Don't be. We're on air for way too long to be self-conscious, for Christ's sakes. Especially going to this off-season content. This off-season content going to be me and the boys hanging out like it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Golly, filling time during this off-season is going to be way easier than it has been the last couple of years. So thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
That'll be part of it.
I think it's going to be a whole hell of a lot more fun. So that should be good. Do we want to talk about these rankings reaction? Oh, no, we want to do this. I tweeted Saturday, and I did it in my rankings or my reaction video. I thought Jalen Milroe was the best football player on the field Saturday, and it was the reason that they won the football game. You dared to quote tweet me and said you would like to address this on the show. You failed to tell me who you thought was the best football player. So how do you want to do this? Do you want me to lay out the case as to why Jalen Milroe was, or do you want to just give me an opening statement on to why he was not?
So the first argument I'll make is I'm not as much arguing that he was the best player on the field. I think that's subjective. I think you can say Brock Bowers was the best player on the field. You can say things such as that. That's subjective. I'm arguing that you said they needed Jalen Milroe to play hero ball, and he did that in everything and more. Mm-hmm. I don't think Jalen Milroe played hero ball on Saturday. So I'll open that and let you say your piece first.
Well, here's the thing. Their whole system is based off his ability to play hero ball, okay? Their whole idea of we're going to run like 3 vertical routes. We're just going to drive the piss out of everybody, all right? That's based off his ability to complete and accurately throw deeper balls, right? Whether it be comebacks, go balls, posts, whatever. His ability and willingness to accurately throw the ball down the field is the reason why they designed that type of offense. Not only on top of that, right? That's the whole reason they designed their passing concepts that way. They drop him in a very consistent spot because of his ability to scramble as well. So some of these negative plays that you're seeing happen, some of these big sacks, they're conceding that. They're willing to do that. They're willing to risk that because they know sometimes he might be able to take those and make them into big, huge explosives. It's part of the reason, like I said, why they design it that way. Their whole entire run scheme is based off his ability to account for a hat in the run game as well, or at least it was in that football game. So they had multiple design runs for him that they used in plus territory. Okay. So their whole offensive scheme was dedicated and predicated off of what he was able to do. On top of that, and here's the real kicker for me, everything you do defensively and everything the opposition does to this offense defensively is all based on him. It's all based on trying to stop him. How you rush is based off him. How many guys you rush is based off him. The fact that you can't really play man coverage unless you spy him with 2 different guys is because of him. So everything that was going on in that football game revolved around number 4, okay? And for him to be able to succeed, for them to have to win, he would have to succeed at playing hero ball because the whole system is hero ball. Everything that they try to do around him is based off the fact that he's going to go be a hero on these plays. Extend, find the open option. Extend, pull it down and go. Okay, now we're in a 2nd and 1. Let's take a shot. All right, we didn't complete the shot. Don't worry. We're on 3rd and 1. We got quarterback involved in the run game. So, like, everything about this football game and everything about this offense and Alabama as a whole is now predicated off of number 4, and it's why they've peaked like this, in my opinion.
So I'll agree with you on that. He played winning football on Saturday. He did everything you needed him to do. He checked all the boxes. But in no way would I consider him a hero of this game. Because if Bama's defense doesn't put Georgia in a box for 5 possessions, they don't win. Like that's plain.
Correct.
That's plain and simple. So I mean, hero ball would be Jalen Milroe absolutely balling out of his mind. He went 13 for 23 and had 192 yards.
This is the thing about Milroe. You will never box score scout him. I'm not going to allow you to do it. I'm not going to allow people to watch what I watched on Saturday. Every critical down, number 4 converted. Every critical down in that football game from Alabama was on number 4's back. And you can look at the stat sheet and you can say this. And I'm going to throw it out because I look at what I see. And I see a guy and a football team that manufactured 27 points off of a short field once and him. They had
another possession that started inside the 50. And again, like I said, it's winning football.
Yeah.
But it's not hero ball. I can't put hero ball was what we saw C.J. Stroud do against Georgia in the Peach Bowl. That was hero ball. I can't put that in Jalen Milroe's performance in the same category.
You don't think that's him maximizing the system and playing great football?
Is what Jalen Milroe's doing not maximizing the system for him?
No, he is the system. That's what I'm trying to get to you. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That everything that Alabama does right now on offense is predicated off him being the guy. Him being at that position.
That's how every team calls their plays at the quarterback position. No, it's dependent on who the guy is.
Ohio State has been running the same concepts for 4 or 5 years now under Ryan Day. Same concepts. They do the same stuff. Alabama has completely revamped their offense in the midst of a year to maximize what this dude does, to allow him to do that. Bro, even after the football game, they asked Nick Saban what he says when Jalen's out there playing, and he just says, "Go, Jalen. Go, Jalen." Like, we're just letting you be you. We're letting you be a hero. We're letting you play hero ball. The whole system is predicated. That's all I'm saying. The whole system is predicated off of this dude's skill sets, and if they don't present themselves, the offense does not move.
I agree with what you're saying. I get with what you're saying, and you're right in that. I have a serious issue calling it hero ball, though.
Why?
Because the way he plays isn't hero-like. If Alabama doesn't have one of the best defenses in the nation, they don't win this game. They don't win half of their games. Hero ball is what he did against Auburn, where he makes a miraculous play.
The some bitch can't go over there and play defense too. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Like I don't understand. I don't 100% understand the argument because they're asking him to do superhero stuff on the offensive side of the football. Okay, I understand that the defense played a great game for them to be able to win the game, but I'm talking about offensively, critical downs. They did everything through him.
Doing what you're asked is fine, but it's not superhero output. He's put up 27 points in his last 2 games. Like, that's not superhero hero ball numbers. I get that he is the boomer bust system. Without it, you have to completely rearrange everything. You build your system around what he's able to do because he's a talented athlete for sure. But to say he plays hero ball, he didn't complete more than 4 passes. He completed 4 passes once, 4 consecutive passes once on Saturday. He had a completion percentage of under 50% till the 4th quarter started. Like that you can't call that hero ball. Even if the entire system is based around what he does and caters to his skill set as an athlete. That's not hero ball to me.
Looked pretty heroic when he milked the clock completely by himself
with
3 designed quarterback runs in the 4th quarter.
He definitely had good moments. He definitely made the right plays when he needed to. That's winning football. I don't consider that hero football.
All right. We need to move on. So, rankings reactions. I think the best way to do this with rankings reactions is I saw some takes on Twitter, and I consider myself a take artist. I think I got some good takes. I think I'm good at the tweeters too. I think I'm good at going on there and expressing good, fresh, fun takes. But my God, did I see some elite takes on social media Saturday when Florida State was left out, or Sunday when Florida State was left out of the college football playoff. Did you have any takes that you wish were yours? Because I have a couple.
Yeah, the one where I don't know who it was. I think it was like a screenshot of a text without the name in it. but it was, imagine telling the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles that you can't make the playoffs because your MVP Carson Wentz is no longer available.
Ooh. That's a good one. Shouts out Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. You got any?
I had one from Ben Wolk, and I think you had one too.
Ben Wolk's been on fire this week. Shouts out Ben Wolk.
Ben Wolk was cooking this weekend. Mine was basically, he said FSU really wasn't good this season. They took a miracle to beat a 6-6 rival. They beat a 4-8 in-conference opponent by 3 points. What was the other one? Oh, they lost by 10 at home. And he goes, oh, wait, no, that was Alabama. Which was kind of the entire argument that Alabama has this better resume than Florida State. And you look up, compare the two, and of course Alabama gets in. And then you really deep dive into this. Alabama was losing to USF for like 3 quarters. And it wasn't until they basically just leaned on them and won that game. So it's
solid take, solid tweet. I thought Big Cat had the best take. Everybody wanted to jump on the Florida State got screwed take wagon, and it was way overboard. And then Big Cat from Barstool, not that you needed that. Big Cat slides in. Big Cat slides in here with basically the take that this is actually great for Florida State fans because now they get to play the victim the rest of their life when everybody knows they would have got doggy stomped in the first round. So that's clutch. Shouts out to Florida State fans.
So I'm guessing you're amongst the crowd that committee got it right.
I mean, we're going to get into that. I think they got it right from we got the 4 best football teams standpoint. I cannot believe an obvious, easy, defendable stance was there for a public-facing committee, and they didn't take it. I told you guys this before the show. I'm this close. I almost respect them. Think about this. We don't have to get political on this show, but think about anybody ever in the history of the world that has had to make a forefront public-facing decision. And in one option, they have a completely defensible stance and decision. If you make this, okay, even if people get pissed off, if you decide this route, okay, you can explain it. You can stand on your soapbox and stand there and take all the bullets and everything, and you're going to come out on the other end. And over here is what you really feel, okay? It's the true answer. It's the answer, but guess what? This one over here, this one's going to have you just absolutely rocked at the stake like nobody's business. This one over here is going to have everybody and their mama calling you everything, under the sun. This one over here is going to have Florida State fans just absolutely pissed off. Okay, and by the way, this one over here, not really defensible, other than just it's the way you feel. I've never seen decision makers do this from a forefront public-facing decision. And I almost want to respect them for it because I've never seen it happen. Every single time you are given cop-out, easy defense, hey, you're going to have to stand on it, but this is what you believe, everybody takes the cop-out.
It was definitely a brave decision for them. And to be fair, also, someone was going to be pissed off no matter who's selected. I mean, you had 6 or 7 legit teams that you could make a real argument that they were playoff teams. So That I understand, and I somewhat do respect the decision to, hey, this is what we feel is our in our gut believe. The problem I have it with is the entire season leading up to it, you used objectivity to measure who you thought the 4 best teams were. Mm-hmm. The idea of the committee is it's a subjective thing, but we use objective measurements to make our decisions. And the number one process, I said this last week, the number one thing they used the entire time leading up to it was records. Yeah. What's your record? That's how we determine what a good team is. That's why all the undefeated teams got moved to the front of the line. It's why as soon as Ohio State lost, they dropped out of the top 4. It's why and then we use subjectivity within that. It's why we bumped Florida State out of the top 4 when they lost their quarterback, but we didn't drop them past any one-loss teams. Mm-hmm. So if you do all of that, saying, okay, record is the most important metric. For in the last week to say, actually, subjectivity is the most important thing here. We're going to go off what our gut tells us. We're going to say what we think are the 4 best teams. That's where I have the huge problem. It's not that Florida State got left out. I think it's an extremely unfortunate situation what happened to them. But I think the problem I have with it is, like we said, there's no consistency now in how they chose this team.
Here's a hot take. Why couldn't they beat Michigan? If Michigan and Florida State played right now, mm-hmm. that football game's 3-6 going into the 4th.
And the other problem I have with this is, okay, fine. Your eye test, your measurements say Bama is a better team than Florida State. Are you going to tell me Georgia's not a better team than Florida State?
Yeah.
But you put Florida State ahead of them. Mm. And then how would they justify that? Well, Georgia just lost a game. They didn't have a conference championship. But you're going off eye test now. So there's no consistency there, and you can pinpoint each way they found it, each way they picked their 4 and 5 teams, and that's what I have the problem with.
Looking back now, hindsight, I feel like from the entirety of their rankings, from the first week that they released them to now, I feel like that there was a lot of inconsistency with how they ranked the teams each and every week, and I feel like that they were very reactionary each and every week. It didn't feel like a true ranking of who we think is the most deserving or whatever. It felt like, what did you do this one week? This is where we're going to place you in the rankings this one week. And I just feel like there was a lot of inconsistencies of how we treated losses, how we treated certain losses, how we treated wins and whatnot. I just felt like I never fully understood what this committee was basing their entire criteria off of until the rankings came out, and then we have even more questions about what they were doing because it just never seemed like what we saw the first week to what we saw now, those don't really mesh well. And what we continue to see, I felt like it was very inconsistent, and we were being misled the entire time.
Speaking of inconsistencies, have you seen all the Florida State clips of what they've done to ESPN employees?
No.
So all the people that sit on those college football selection committees, they had all of them. They had Kirk Herbstreit had the tweet of just went out, it doesn't matter, quit bitching.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks ugly. Dan Orlovsky 5 days ago was like, we'll see y'all next week when Florida State wins out, doesn't matter. And then he's on the desk this past weekend doing the Bama thing. They got Greg McElroy in the same thing. Just went out, doesn't matter. 7 days later, he flip-flopped. So, it wasn't – I don't know. If you're into this conspiracy thing, man, I understand why this year of all years would be the ones that you're doing it. The SEC bias thing. Because they did. They told you straight up they think the SEC is better than the ACC.
Yeah.
And we all believe that, by the way. Everybody who's not an ACC fan believes that. The NFL believes that. Draft records believe that. College football playoff records believe that. The history believes that. Everyone believes that. They finally told you that, and that sucks for you.
I have a take on this.
Can I tell you two of my other favorite takes?
Go ahead.
Danny Cannell took 30 seconds to mention a national title, claiming a national title. I thought that was elite. But what really got me, and I'm going to tell you, Danny, you don't listen to this show, but I respect the hell out of your ability to have a take. Same thing with the Bud Elliott dude. Bud Elliott says the thing every single time, and I'm almost jealous of how good he is at saying the thing to get everybody pissed off. But Danny Cannell telling Florida State fans that if they win the Orange Bowl, they should claim a national title, and they'll have the right to do so, while following that all up with saying that Florida State should just decline the Orange Bowl. I mean, just elite level trolling and tweeting from Danny Cannell. Just some good-ass shit coming from that guy, man.
I mean, declining the Orange Bowl would be pretty funny. Just to come out and say,
funny.
We're not going to play that. We're going to cost you millions of dollars, actually. So, but no, I think this decision is going to be looked upon in the near future as one of the most consequential playoff committee decisions we've ever seen, because it almost all but guarantees the collapse of the ACC at this point.
I don't know about that.
Well, if you think about it, though, if you're Florida State, you just watched a conference a team where you've been flirting with kind of, hey, let's see where
how much it costs to get out of the contract?
How much?
$250 million.
That's fine, but I'm still saying, at some point they flirted with leaving before.
They have.
You just watched a committee look at a conference that has a one-loss team where you went 13-0 and said, sorry, you didn't schedule enough regular season games and your schedule wasn't strong enough.
So
why would you want to stick around if you're
ever going to get in bed with the Saudis? This is what's going to make you do it, right? So that's a good point. The only person in the world going to be able to pay that money to get them out of the ACC contract is the Saudi Arabian wealth fund. So that's it. If they want to go do that, that's fine.
When does the contract end?
2035.
Is it that long?
Dude, the ACC contract's the worst one. Google that for me, when the ACC TV contract ends. But I'm under the impression that it's at least 8 or 9 years. I think it's up until 2033, 2032. I want to say something along those lines. It's a long time. So they're not getting out of that. And by the way, they don't have to, because we're going to 12 pretty soon, and this wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
2036.
2036.
Another thing
they're in it for a minute.
Another thing that I do think is going to also be super consequential is this load management thing is about to become very real.
Yeah, people are opting out already.
Well, not even that. I mean, with the schedule's going to get bigger anyway.
Oh, you're talking about next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, think about it. You were just told by the committee, hey, the one loss you had, the one injury you had to your one player kept you out of the playoff. That's all that the committee's been able to justify it with. Mm-hmm. It's that Florida State's a different team after having no Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis got hurt against North Alabama. It's not like it was the Florida game or a big marquee matchup. He got hurt playing a nobody in a game they were already going to win. So why would I start my star players and risk injury and risk having to maybe get a playoff spot taken away from me when I can just sit him and say, you can't hold that against us. We didn't play them.
I thought they told us exactly what they thought of the ACC, bottom line.
Yeah.
I think that was the main thing. And to an extent, I know that the crossover conference record's weird to me because it's always like I never remember who's playing who.
Yeah.
I know Florida State got LSU, but who are the other SEC teams that lost to the ACC this year?
I mean,
Florida got beat by FSU as well.
Yep.
They're a bottom end SEC team.
Vandy got beat by
Wake Forest.
Bottom,
like the bottom. Okay. Who
else? Clemson beat South Carolina.
Clemson beat South Carolina again. The bottom.
There's one at the beginning of the year.
UNC beat South Carolina.
Mississippi State beat Arizona, but that's not ACC.
North Carolina beat South Carolina.
North Carolina beat South Carolina. So South Carolina's twice on this list.
Yeah.
Bottom line, LSU's the best SEC team that got beat by an ACC team this year.
I think LSU's the best SEC team that played an ACC team this year.
Okay, so there we go. I mean, it's not like they're coming out here and beating the big dogs. Okay.
No.
It's the exact same reason why you don't see the SEC or Georgia flexing their chest when they beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Because they're very aware of who they're playing and very aware of where Georgia Tech, for the most part, in recent history, stands within the ACC. So when they go into the college football playoff and they go and stack up these rankings, Georgia's not actually like, oh, well, we beat Georgia Tech in the final week, so that proves that we have seniority and we're superior to you. Like, you have to understand who those games are being played against. Now, I feel like there's always a lack of context around those types of things. Like when people do the thing of like, oh, this is the overall record of all of Georgia's opponents this season. And it's like their teams are 45 and 56 this season together. Well, one of those teams that you play at the beginning of the year that's in the FCS, they might be 2-10 right now. And that highly changes how your overall record of opponents is this season. And I think that's such a stupid statistic that always gets thrown out there. There has to be more context with these things and these numbers that are being thrown out.
And by the way, the ACC was 10-9 in total in their non-conference opponents this year. Let's see, who are the SEC teams they beat? They got South Carolina, Florida.
Miami beat A&M.
Miami beat A&M and LSU and Vandy. Okay, so there it was right there. The rest of them, I mean, they're getting dubs over like Purdue.
I mean, Kentucky
Northwestern, Minnesota, Indiana. I mean, it ain't like they beating the big boys. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier.
I think the best way to describe it is Kentucky, a team that was, third or fourth in their –
I didn't want to go there.
And their division beat the runner-up for the conference championship.
I thought that was the layup right there. But, yeah, Kentucky beat you, all right, essentially.
Yeah. Can I make one last point?
The
one thing that really irks me about all of this is like all of this – frustration being pointed at the committee and all of this attention being put on Florida State and the fact that Alabama got put in at number 4, it's taking all of the attention away from the fact that Michigan gets to sit there at number 1 and not be scrutinized or criticized for anything. Like it's almost like we have just completely forgotten about what happened this season. Boy,
that offense some shit.
Dude, it irks me, man.
Michigan versus Alabama. Does anyone want either team to win that game?
I mean, I want to see – I've been wanting to see Michigan get thumped for a minute, so I'm down with that.
But you want to see another Alabama national title?
Dude, that stuff doesn't bother me. Yeah. That bothers you guys. It doesn't bother me. Now, granted, we ain't got a single Alabama player on the wall. Did you notice that? We got everybody, and we never hit Alabama. You know why? They don't have a singular player that resonates with Alabama. If you think of Alabama, who do you think of?
Julio Jones.
That's the only one I thought of. Okay,
Joe Namath.
And we got plenty of wide receivers on the board already.
I mean, Mark Ingram's been a good ambassador for that team.
I thought about just doing the meme library and having him on the meme library.
Yeah.
All right, Heisman. They gave us the finalists. It's Jaden Daniels. It's Marvin Harrison Jr., Bo Nix, and Michael Penix.
Yeah, I mean, for as much as we were like, dude, this Heisman race is coming down to the wire.
Daniels, right?
It's Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
Praise
Michael
the Lord.
Penix is the only other player coming off a win.
Yeah, and the odds in that football game drastically swung. It was Bo Nix as the favorite, and then as Washington started to win that football game, Jaden Daniels is.
Yeah, I mean Michael Penix didn't really do enough. He had a bad pick, so it'll be my prediction. It'll be Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. No, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Marvin Harrison.
Love it.
Yep, I completely agree with
Carson
that.
Beck 5th.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show. Hey, make sure you're sticking with us. Hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll see you tomorrow.